Divine greetings, everyone. May you all be in good health and spirits. Welcome to Death is a Part of Life Conversations with Sacred and Amy. We are very honored to be holding this space with our community. We both felt that it was really important to create a space where we can share more deeply about some of the work that ways that we've been called to serve our community and ways in which the community pulls at our hearts. So, welcome my co-host, Amy. Hi. Yes. We're delighted to get into some more conversations surrounding things that are meaningful to us. When you say,
I, I'm excited. I got sidetracked in my mind, but yes, I'm excited to speak with the community about life and death and grief. Just making a safe space for conversations. Um, just to talk about everything, to have the freedom to unmask and talk about the things that are, so deep in our hearts, and without trying to hold it and conceal it, like to be able to share it and support and carry it um, for one another.
I love that. So, Amy, why do you feel, and I'll answer this too, why do you feel it's important? And the name of our opening intro podcast today is Why is it important to talk about death?
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes, yes.
Why?
Why is it important? Um, I think it's as important as any other part in life. I think birth is so celebrated, um, and we are still actually working to understand that that's not such a medical thing as we've made it in our culture, to learn how to celebrate and support each other in birth, through all the parts of life. I think we have kind of an ideal of like what life should look like for everybody, and everybody's life is so unique, and you try to make these plans, and life just does not go that way. Um, and sometimes it can make you feel like you're doing it wrong, or things happen. uh, you can't plan for them. You have to learn how to adapt and grow through them. And some of that is surrounding death, illness, those changes that we, might not necessarily want, but do happen. Sometimes, a lot of times by surprise, you didn't know what was going to happen and how to move through it, to um, move through caring for others, allowing others to care for you if there's like any type of illness or disability, or um, supporting when there is a loss. I think before I really experienced loss, I thought it was like, somebody dies, or you experience some grief or for a certain period of time, and then it would go away, or I don't know what I thought. But grief walks with you. If you've lost someone who was essential, like a partner in life, or a child, a parent, a sibling, a best friend, whoever, however they were close to you, if you lose a person like that, or through relationships, divorce and separation, or different things, maybe, I don't know, so many things can happen where it's like you think it's just going to be over, but it's with you, it walks with you, and you have to learn how to adapt, to find support, to live through it. And a lot of those painful feelings around it, we just hold it in. We just trying to push through and push forward. And some of that is helpful, that resilience, that tenacity to keep going. But it's okay to also, even if you're the person always caring for other people, so allow people to care for you, to not hold that, it's connected to so many like heart illness and autoimmune disease, like just carrying the stress, to let it out, to release it, to try to figure out how to live as best you can after these changes in life, around life and death and grief, change you. I mean, loss can really, really change you.
Mm, thank you for sharing. In my experience with talking about death, what I recognized that was all too familiar is it wasn't until a death occurred that people talked about death, but it was always spookism. Is their spirit about to come back and haunt me? You know, or, or the grief and the pain of it, but um, not like as are the name of our podcast. Life is a part of death, or death is a part of life. It's like,
Mhm.
well, they're both part of each other.
They are part of each other. Yes, yes.
They are a part of each other. And what I've found is that there have been, why talk about death? Because to me, there have been a lot of misconceptions about death. There is a lot more to death than we've been able to converse about. And one of the big things that came forward to me, especially when I became end of life doula trained, was I realized that we haven't even got even a small amount of our death ceremonies and what death could actually be for our community. We haven't even tapped in yet, like at all. We're still just walking around it like, oh my goodness, and ouch, and oh my goodness, and oh, and it's like fear and pain, fear
Hmm.
and pain.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the not knowing how to con continue to live, knowing that someone you love has made their transition. However, like I said, we haven't even gotten, like, right? Do you agree, Amy? Like, it's
I
so
agree.
much more to death,
Hmm.
so much more to our ceremonies, like from an
Hmm.
ancestral perspective, from an ancient life perspective. Like there's so much more to our ceremonies that we haven't even gotten into and
Hmm.
tapped into. So to me, conversations about death move us forward in the process so that we can start truly experiencing death, like the true experience of it. And
Yeah.
sometimes like your experience, right? When you um experience loss, in your experience, it was, you were confronted with it, but there wasn't anyone around that could really support you in that conversation. You had to take years by yourself of like really going through and growing through the process
Hmm.
of grief, of loss, of the hurt, of the pain, of the absence, of all of these different things that come up, and without anyone being able to be there and walk alongside you,
Hmm.
you know. And so to me, that's part of why these conversations are really important because now more than ever, we have people that love love humanity so much that we want to walk alongside you.
Hmm.
We will hold your hand, we will sit with you, and we will listen. And for you to feel supported. And once we
Hmm.
feel supported surrounding death, we allow ourselves to really experience a different aspect of death that
Hmm.
humanity has ever experienced before. Which leads me
Hmm.
to my next question, Amy. What do you feel is missing in our communities surrounding the conversation of death?
Hmm. Um, when you were just saying that, like I remember um when I experienced my loss and it was like it happened so fast, they're asking you questions and what do you want to do about this and what do you want to do about that? And it's like, you asking me? I don't I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And I remember going to the funeral home and they, give you this whole selection of things like, oh, do you want this and do you want that? And it's like, I don't think I want that, but do I have to have that? Like,
Mm,
just not even knowing, not even having considered it before. I hadn't, I had went to one other funerary planning, which with my grandmother, maybe a couple years prior to that, and she had everything planned. She, we had not really talked much about death, but she had her stuff pre-paid, pre-determined. She wanted a memorial service. She wanted to be cremated. Um, and that was pretty much it. She had all of her affairs in order. Um, and I think that that was really a gift. I don't know. I mean, I was not in the death space at that time. I had not really had conversations with her about that. And she lived in Florida most of my life, my grandmother. And so by the time she came up here, she was not really of sound mind where we really could even had a conversation like that if I had been thinking about it. Um, and then to kind of now, like, I've done my living will, but like to talk to my parents who are death averse. I'm doing that in August because they did say that they would be willing to like fill out their living, at least their living will part. And I
mm,
think they do have some financial things figured out or like just with their whatever, their stuff is all figured out. But to at least like if something were to happen, what do you want me to do? And to write it down. My mother says, make sure you do this. I'm like, you have to write it down because
mm,
I'm just one of your children. There are four children. There are laws around who has to agree if there's not paperwork and like just to kind of, I think have gotten used to fighting and arguing when someone dies. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can pre-plan it. I mean, it might still happen, but you can do what you can to say, this is what, give the stuff away before you leave. If you want, you can do that. There are a lot of cultures who do what they call death cleaning. And as they start getting older, they start getting rid of stuff, getting not that they're going to die tomorrow, but like lightening themselves. And a lot of times I go to, because I take care of mostly elderly, and the house is just filled with things. And then the person passes, and someone
mm,
has to figure out what to do with 90 years worth of things. So just to talk about it and not to be think, if I don't think about it, then I won't die. If I think about it, I'm gonna die. You're gonna die anyway.
mm,
Like we can talk about it. We can
mm,
um give away this thing. Do you need this thing? What is, to declutter, to just consider that life ends and how do we want to um leave how do we want to leave here? What do we want to leave that for our children to figure out? Like what let me talk to, my caregiver. This is what I'd like to happen. This is my
mm,
important paperwork. It's a good and responsible thing to do if you can manage it. I think
mm.
that.
I hear you. So, what I hear you saying is that the piece that you feel is missing in the conversation surrounding death in our community is the planning. Is
I would say so.
Yeah, is the planning and that, that feeling that like, to not think that because you're planning your death, that it means that you're about to die tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I love that. I deeply feel that as well. I remember telling my grandmother, that I said, Grandma, this is one of my grandmother's hats actually. I told her because my grandmother wore hats. She was the first lady of a church, and I remember telling my grandmother, I was like, Grandma, she was having me try on hats actually, which is so cute. I was trying on her different hats and things like that. And she says, I want you to have this hat when I die, right? And in one of our future episodes, I may show you the hat that I tried on that day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so and I said, Grandma, you're gonna have to write that down, just like you're telling your parents. I said, because everyone's gonna be fighting over who gets what hat and who gets your photo albums and all of these things. And my grandmother went ahead and began doing these exact same thing your grandmother did, planned everything. And it made everything so much more clear to the family. They had to choose to honor it or not,
Mm-hmm.
just like my grandmother wanted a praise service, but the minister the whole time, but the minister wouldn't allow, like he wasn't allowing her wish to be made.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So some people could do that, but at least it is very clear what is
Yeah.
important to you, what is meaningful to you, and this is your way of having your last words,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
your final request.
Yes.
And which is lovely. So, for me, I feel like what's missing in the conversation surrounding death is that the spiritual component of the whole experience. Just like the first moment when I realized I was the first time I found a midwife for birth, which birth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the first time I found a midwife, she was in California, and she began teaching about how to give birth with God. Now, at the time, I was a Christian, but I had never heard of anything like that. Wait a second. I can give birth with God? What? You know what I'm saying? Like that part was
Mm-hmm.
just absent from the conversations that
Mm-hmm.
I heard. It was just like, oh, the contractions, oh, the pain, oh, you know what I'm saying? Don't make sure you don't eat because you're gonna throw it
Mm.
all up, or make sure this or make sure that. But no one said you can actually go through your childbirth with God and have a
Yeah.
spiritual birth. And I believe that deaths and births are the same. You either get you, and I don't really call them death, I call them birth within a body or
Mm-hmm.
birth into the spirit realm outside of
Mm-hmm.
the body, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I recognized that the spiritual components surrounding death were missing.
Yes.
It was so missing. The ceremony to me
Mm-hmm.
has
Mm-hmm.
been missing in the conversation surrounding death. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got like 10 minutes left to share here. What so in your opinion, what can become possible when people have a safe space to talk about death openly?
Yeah. I think um I think safety is always good. Like I'd like to increase safety in all spaces. Um and that people understand like these feelings, these things that are happening are normal. Like they are part, it's not, some exception. It is the rule that we all, we're born, we live, we die, it's it's okay to talk about. It's okay to discuss. And just what you were talking about, um, there are some like cultural or ancestral ceremonies and things that can be discussed and planned and made, but also just individually, you know. I went to a funeral yesterday actually, and
Mm,
she was a Buddhist. And I had never been to a Buddhist funeral. It was at a Buddhist temple, and they had these beautiful readings that she selected and songs that she selected. And she wanted this person to read this, and she wanted this person to read that. She wanted to be cremated. She wanted to be in this special container. She wanted, like, she was able to say what it was that she wanted, um, pre-planned it, pre whatever. I've also, I work with people at end of life all the time. I've heard of living funerals where people, I want to see all of my children and grandchildren. I'm gonna make them scrapbooks. Like, what do you want to do with your life? If you can think about your death, if you can realize that one day you will die, it can influence how you live. What do you want to
mm,
do with your time here? You think it, most of us walk around like we're going to be here forever, and it's just not the case. We don't get to stay. What do you want to do? What do you want to try? What do you, if
oh,
you were to, if someone were to tell you we're going to die in 6 months, what would you, because it's never complete. You're never, I've met people in 104. There's still things that they want to do. We always want to stay. It's never enough time. But what can you do something? Could you go here? Did you want to write a book? Did you want to write poetry? Did you want to take a class? Did you want to travel with your mom or your dad? Or like, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want for your death? What do you want? What do you want? It helps you get in touch with that. And I feel like if we could talk more about it, not just the sad part. Like, the sad part is important, and I think it enriches your life to realize that life is not forever, that everything is temporary and permanent. But how do you want to live? How do you want to live? How do you want to raise
mm,
your children? How do you want to love your family and your friends?
mm.
It'll help you to live better if you know and recognize that you will die.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
The possibility. What is the possibilities?
What is it?
It
What
is
is it?
live more,
Live
to
more.
live the life that you really want to live. So we were both in our last 5 minutes, we both deeply feel called into this mode of service. And hosting this gives us the opportunity to really share in a space some things that we feel are meaningful to the community. Um, Tell me more about one of your whys. You have maybe like 2 minutes,
In 2 minutes.
or why you get into this work, or why you feel like, this podcast is something worthy to that you want to share with the community.
I think the conversation is important. It is something that I feel passionate about, and when you feel passionate about something, you want to share it, open your mouth about it, and maybe help someone else to realize something and help yourself to realize something. But I started off as a nurse aide when I was about 19 years old and
Mm,
discovered that I really love the elderly. I really loved working in nursing homes, caring for older people, people with disabilities, people who are homebound, that type of thing. I really love it. I enjoyed it. Became a nurse, did that for a while, but I really just wanted to be with them, just wanted to talk to them. And ended up becoming massage therapist, now a death doula. And I work primarily with people who have disabilities or people who are at end of life because I just enjoy being with them. And had thought about being working with hospice when I was in aid, just a thought. I just really felt strongly about people not dying alone. A lot of people as they get older don't have family. I used to like hold their hands and like reorganize my day so that I could be with them as much as possible and things like that. I just have a I don't want people to be afraid. I want people to be feel supported and loved at all times of life. And so yeah, I felt called to do it, felt that it was important, and now beginning to share it and teach others how to care for people in those spaces as well.
Thank you. I felt like for me, coming into this work called me to it. It's about me choosing. I can't. I just decided like, okay, there's a pattern here. I'm being called into deaths ever so often, or called into births, right? And then this conversation came up, this podcast, and I was thinking, you know, especially since we have the Death Cafe, which is every first Wednesday of the month at Corianders in Detroit, Corianders Kitchen and Farm, a great space to come and just talk about these topics, right? But I felt like, the community needed a little more than what we could offer in a death cafe. Because in a death cafe, we are holding space, we are listening. It is actually the community that is leading and guiding the death cafe. And we are just there holding space and holding love. And I love how you said you're a lover. And that's why you feel called to this work, like you love, and it's the same here. And amazing how much love that we have within our beings, that we just want to give love and care to people. How amazing are you? You know, that you just want to love and care for people and make sure that no one feels that they are alone and by themselves, or that families don't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not supported. I need help, so I honor you, Amy. And a question that I have for our audience, we would love for you to put a comment in the comment section. We are not going to answer this question. It is only for you. What would you ask about death if you knew it was safe to ask? I'll ask it again. What would you ask about death if you knew it was safe to ask it? Take a deep breath. Hmm. I look forward to hearing your answers. Welcome to Death is a Part of Life Conversations, Sacred and Amy. Any final words, Amy?
No, this was beautiful. I'm so glad that we decided to do this and looking forward to doing it again.
We'll see you all next week. Toodles. Like my